So this is really the kind of the uses, sources and uses of the actual capital. So again, we're purchasing the property at 14.9 million. There is 6.3 million in equity to raise. The way we'll use them is 70% of the funds is going to go to the acquisition. 10% is for operating reserves, so we have reserves on in case anything happens. Capital improvements, so our CapEx is about 15% of that budget. And then obviously there's transactions and closing costs. Anytime you purchase anything or a property like this, you have to make sure that you pay everybody who is out there. So again, our investment structure really focuses our investors first, is very conservatively leveraged, so we don't put a lot of debt on the property. It is a stabilized Class B asset. So again, the story here is you can never build this property again. It is there. It is established. It used to be a hotel. Now it is a well-established apartment complex. And the way the area is situated, there's not many places to build anything else. And so therefore, this is something that will be here forever. And then our minimum investment for this property and to invest is 50,000. So the best part, what are our projected returns? So from a cash on cash standpoint, the projected reserves are between 7 and 8%. We believe your return on investment over the life of the deal sits between 23 and 26%. Huh. That would be an equity multiple of 2.2 to 2.3x and an IRR of 19 to 20%. So this is over the life of the 5-year hold. And depending on, and we'll go over that in a second, and depending on what class of share you invest in, that will determine the range of the returns. All right, so this is an example of a partnership structure. So this is a tier one. You do tier one starts at 50,000. In this particular example, we use 100K because the math is very simple. So it's an example of a $100,000 investment. So if you look across, it's a straight 80-20 split. 80% go to the LPs, 20% go to the GPs. The property is, as you can see on this timeline, is cash flowing throughout the 5 years. Year one is approximately 5.7%, and then we kind of jump. That was if you go back to the timeline I talked about, that's after we've stabilized, we've got our systems in place. That jumps up to the 7.6. Year three is when we're really rocking, so we're at the 8.6. That's also when we'll be able to do the refinance. So again, how the market is floating. If we have the opportunity to, we'll do the refinance and return some of your capital. We get to year four and then year five, right? So year five, again, we're watching those returns go back up, and hopefully we'll be able to sell and return your capital plus some. There's your projected returns down there on the left side. And then what you can see here in the gold box, this is kind of your overall investment and then what gets returned. So if you invested 100K, you'd get 115.66 in return. So you would be returned $215,066. And this is our tier two. So this is a million plus. We broke this down LP 90-10 split. The numbers obviously are going to go up a little bit when you have more invested, and two, the split's a little better. So similar thing, years 1 through 5, you can see the differences. Same scenario though, in year three, it kind of ratchets it up and we can do that return of capital, and then 4 and then 5, and then hopefully that sale. And then projected returns over here on the left. And then again, that gold box kind of shows you what that $1 million would turn into. So that million would be 2.294 million returned to you at the end of that 5-year period. So that is it. In the bottom right corner is a QR code. You've seen it throughout the deck. We can absolutely send this deck out if you're interested. We also have a one-pager. This is my contact information. There's also 5 other of us you can feel free to contact, and everybody is on the phone today. So you can reach out to any one of us. So why don't I pause and see if anybody has any questions? And I don't know if there's anything in the chat because I cannot see the chat.
Michael has his hand raised. Go ahead, Michael.
Thank you guys for doing this again. I really just had one question. What is your age demographics on the tenants?
From what I saw, they were probably my age, so probably somewhere between 30s to 50s age demographic. So maybe with the millennials to Gen Xers.
Yeah,
I don't know if
I
anybody
guess I
else.
was surprised, a little bit surprised. I figured that that was probably the age because you talked a lot about the employment opportunities around there. So, if you were looking at like 50s and older, that wasn't going to be as important.
Right.
I guess I was just a little surprised that they were interested in having a communal laundry room because I I live in an apartment complex and the last thing I want to do is go talk to people while I'm doing my laundry. I just want
Well,
to
you
get
know
in
what?
there, get it, and get
Get
out,
in and get out, right?
Yeah.
Well, it was
So I
funny.
thought that was interesting.
The one guy I talked to, I had asked him, I'm like, would you want to? Because one of the things we were thinking is putting a laundry, like a stackable inside of the apartment. And he's like, no, I'd rather have the space for myself. He goes, when I do go do my laundry in the facility, there's only 4 units, and every time I go there, they're full. And so our thought is to create that whole center there and then actually have an opportunity. Look, if you're stuck doing your laundry, the least you could do is watch TV, right? Maybe put a TV there or whatnot. So that was really the thought process.
So I can't remember the layout. So is there an entry on each level? There's an entryway to the building, and then how many apartments are accessed through that entryway?
So if I go over, just pull the site plan back up. So if you can see the site plan here, so
Yep.
my little cross here. So this is the Main Street, correct? Sorry, you kind of walk in. This right here is the main entrance. And then each apartment kind of sits in between. So you'd kind of walk in here and there's two in each building. So two on top, two on the bottom, two on top, two on the bottom. And then you just kind of walk through that way. The entranceway is either directly there or there's a staircase. You walk up the staircase and then you kind of hit the entranceways straight in the front.
So there's
So
really no.
everything opens to the outside.
Correct.
Oh,
Everything
okay, all
opens
right,
out to
okay.
the
So
outside. There's nothing
there's
on
no
the inside.
central inside entryway where
No,
you could put like a washing machine, drying machine for like 4 units or whatever.
no. So
No.
this little
Okay,
nest area right here is where we would put it.
okay,
There was a bunch of rooms, and like I said, it used to be an old hotel, so this is kind of like the lobby area.
gotcha.
And there's a lot of like just empty space. Like there were rooms and there was nothing in the rooms, and there was a desk here, but there was one person sitting behind the desk, and then back over here was a mail room. One of the other thoughts is, putting one of those Amazon boxes in there because I know a lot of people like those where Amazon can drop off and then have a drop off location here to pick up stuff. So there's just so much opportunity to do different things within that big space there.
And where is the garbage? Where are the I don't see
So
that on
there
there.
is, yeah, so right back here, my little Ask AI thing keeps popping up. But back here, there is a dumpster on the back corner right here. There is also right here, there's an open space. We thought that they actually could use two. So we would put one potentially up front and then gate that in so you obviously don't see that from the road. And so you'd see one, there's one back here, and then there'd be one up here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I like the setup like in my complex there's 4 apartments on each floor, and for
Mm.
those apartments we have a set of washer and dryer, but it's in a separate room and you don't have those rooms. So
Right.
um I like the convenience of it because it's right outside my door, but there's only 4 of us using the set, so we hardly ever run into each other.
Right, right, right.
So it looks like
Um,
communal laundry is your only option. I loved your idea. You talked about it in the last presentation about the gym. I'm a gym guy, so Yeah, if it's a dorky gym with two pieces of equipment, nobody's going to use it. But if you
Right.
can get some decent equipment in there, I think people will use it.
Yeah, no, that's it's funny when we first walked there, it is kind of a dorky gym. There was 3 or 4 pieces of equipment in there.
You know what I
Um,
mean by dorky gym then.
I totally do, and it looked like it was dusty, so it didn't look like it was very used very much. So our thought was that there's actually another, like I said, there's a bunch of empty rooms. There was another room that was actually bigger. That if folks really wanted a gym, that would actually be a better location, and you could put more equipment in there. To your
Yeah,
point, like I'm not gonna go on a dusty treadmill, right?
right, right. Is there a Planet Fitness or anything like that in the general area?
I don't know that question. I don't know if anybody else does.
Oh, only to say Planet Fitness is such a great deal. I mean,
Right?
it's
$10.
basically 20 bucks a month,
Mhm.
and
There,
most of their
I think,
facilities are pretty good. So if you have one close, that might argue against spending the money CapEx
Correct.
on your gym, because if you got a decent Planet Fitness around, that's probably where people are going to go.
Right. 100%.
I think there is a fitness place right across the street and down a little bit.
Yeah, just something to consider. I mean, if you've got a decent place that doesn't cost a bunch of money, I mean, people will tend to go there rather than something in their facility. So just something to consider.
Yep.
There's
Totally
a
agree.
Planet Fitness 6 miles.
There you go. 6 miles
There's
away.
another one right across the street. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Well, just something to consider. I mean, there's maybe you could do a survey of, okay, if we spoof this up, how many of you guys would actually use it? And if nobody says they'd use it, then why spend the money?
Right. And give them something that they actually want, right? If they don't want a
Yeah,
fitness
yeah.